Hi there, I'm Ben Hinchliffe, and I work for Rockstar Games. I just want to try a quick question to start with. Who knows what Grand Theft Auto is? OK. Who's played Grand Theft Auto? You're definitely too young. So I've been at Rockstar Games for 4 years now. I've worked on Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto Online, and LA Noire. Before Rockstar, I was at a small company called Canalside Studios, and we made a game called Yo-Ho Kablamo, which was a pirate open world game. So what I'm going to talk to you today is different routes you can get into the games industry, and then the current state of the industry, and a few other little bits and bobs on the side. So how I got there to Rockstar might not work for everyone here. I was at college, so that was going back 7 years now. I had no idea how to be a games designer. All I knew is I wanted to do it. So I started doing little doodles in notepads. Thought, this isn't going to get me there. So I thought, university. So university was the track I went. Before going to university, I'd done a lot of professional gaming. This was around 15. I'd play games like Call of Duty, which a lot of people might know, Command and Conquer on the PC, and I'd travel around the world, entering competitions, and that was good and everything, but it didn't really make the money I wanted. I wasn't earning a wage, so that wasn't going to work for me. So the university I chose to go to was Huddersfield. Now, Huddersfield, it was the first year of games design they did, the course. So when we went, it was pretty bad, and it didn't really tailor to what I needed. I almost left in the first year because I didn't feel like I was getting the skills that were going to get me a job at the end of the day. In the second year, they decided to open an in-house studio. I got a job in the in-house studio at Huddersfield, which was Canalside, where we made Yo-Ho Kablamo. Some guys from Rockstar actually are affiliated with Huddersfield University, so they came across and they saw me working in this studio, and offered me a placement. Now, the conditions of that placement was to go to Games Republic, which is a student showcase, design a game, and win Best Games Design at that student's showcase. So for the next year, I worked designing this game with a small team, won the student showcase, was offered a placement at Rockstar, and got a job subsequently after it. Now, there's 3 different tiers to games. You've got games design, which is what I'm in. You've got games programming, and you've got games art. Now, games design is coming up with the ideas, putting the bits together, coming up with how the game actually works, how many bullets does the gun fire, things like that. Programming is all the coding, it's all the back end of the game. That's what determines how the game works in a more structural sense. So they do all the physics, lighting in the world, everything like that. And then there's art. Artists, this is a very broad tier, can go into many subsections, stuff like animators. Now, animators do all the character poses and all the cutscenes in games that you see. Then we've got graphic artists. They'll do stuff like all the HUD elements. So they're the things around the side of the screen that you see, 2D things. You've got 3D artists. They actually make the 3D models, which are then passed to the animators who make the animations. Now, some of you might be thinking, I know your kids, this is for the adults, your kids are probably saying, Mum, Dad, I want to be a games designer. I want to go into the games industry. And you're saying, that's not a real job. Go out and get a real job. Now, I was told this at college. My business studies teacher said to me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a games designer. And he said, you're never going to be a games designer. Go off and work down the post office. I was like, right, OK, fair enough. I'm going to prove you wrong. So I went out, and now I'm a games designer. People say that there's not much money to be made in games design. Grand Theft Auto, in the first 3 days of sale, made $1 billion. That's faster than any media out there. Films, games, music, the fastest selling thing. It made $1 billion in 3 days. It's also outstripped Call of Duty, Battlefield, Pokemon, and one other game. Their sales combined has not matched how many GTA 5 has sold. So when you say there isn't a market out there and games isn't going to make a lot of money, you're wrong, because it does make a lot of money. Sorry. So the other routes you can go into the games industry, I went through the university route. I know a lot of people around 15, 16 who started making their own games now. they get into programming, so you can learn basic programming skills, or you can do basic modeling skills using stuff like 3D Max. Start building up a catalog now, as soon as you can, because what employers will want to see from you when you go out is a portfolio. And now your portfolio needs to be full of your best work. And if you start now, you can obviously gradually improve year upon year. And if you do choose a university path, they'll want to see maybe a smaller portfolio before you go to university. That might help you get a place at the university of your choice. So I would suggest you start doing a portfolio now. If you want to be a games designer, start writing games design documents. That's things like going into a basic idea for a game, the mechanics, how it works, how the players will interact with that, what platform it's on. Is it on iPhone? Is it on PlayStation? If you're a programmer, start making small programs in your spare time. There's loads and loads of tutorials out there, especially for stuff like Microsoft. They've got X&A Game Creator Studio, where you can actually make your own games, publish it now, and it can be out to the world. Everyone can play it and see it. You can actually start making money, and that's free of charge. You can do it right now. And if you're an artist, then like I said, you should be making 3D models, maybe drawing some character concepts, and getting a portfolio together like that. If you look at the current state of the industry, and the current state of just the world in general, things are going more digital. So when you say games, you might not want to go into games, but the skills you can learn from games is going to span across many other sectors. There's lots of businesses now who are creating apps for iPhone. Everyone knows that the iPhone App Store is, there's thousands, millions of apps on there, not all games. A lot of the top ones aren't even games. They're just things for businesses. And that comes from programming. They need programmers to make those apps. They also need artists to do all the interface. They also need designers to design how it works and how it functions and how people interact with it. So if you go into a games design job, or you go down the programming route, you're actually opening up a lot more than just games. You're opening up a whole industry for yourself. And if you think it is only going to get more technical, and the business in general is going to get more computerized, having these skills under your belt is going to be vital for the future. You can see that everything is moving more financial, more, that way. So having a secure base under you is really going to help. And if we go more into games, you can see games are coming, they're staying not just in the living room, they're coming out of the living room. You've got some companies use games as a way of marketing or subliminal messaging to try and get people to buy products. So again, that's another avenue that's opening up. And games is only in its infancy. If you think about TV and radio, they've been around for almost 60 years. Games is a 20-year industry. It's very, very young. So we have no idea where the games industry's really got to go. You've got things coming out now that are virtual headsets that people are putting on. That's the next big thing. The Oculus Rift and Sony making their own VR headsets. So I can't say where the industry is going to be in 5 years' time because it moves so fast and so rapidly that it's anyone's guess. But having a secure footing in either programming, design, or graphics is going to help you definitely in the long run. Sorry, I've got any questions? We'll take a midpoint questions and then I'll move on. Any questions? There's one.
So you say there's lots of money to be made.
Yep.
For the companies. How much do the actual designers, artists, developers see of it?
Sorry, I can't hear. Is the mic on? It's okay.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me yet? Woo. Yeah?
Not yet. Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah, there we go.
Right. So you're saying there's lots of money to be made. GTA makes $1 billion in 3 days.
Yes.
Put it bluntly, how much of it do you see?
How much do I see?
How much do they, is there, there might be money to be made for the company. How much is there meant to be made for the employees,
I won't obviously go into exact figures of how much I make, but it's pretty good, and we get a kind of bonus as well, incentive on top. So if the game sells really well, we get a good bonus on top of it. If the game doesn't sell very well, we don't get a bonus on top of it. A lot of companies will work like this. They'll offer a lot of the workers kind of a basic salary of X amount, and then they will say, okay, the game we're making, if it does really well, you're going to get a bonus. Now the bonus does come with a catch. A lot of companies you'll work extreme overtime. I was working probably 8 in the morning till 11 at night for 6 months, weekends included, to get GTA 5 out on time, and it still got delayed. And that's the games industry is brutal for overtime, but the bonuses are just as rewarding at the end of the overtime. I can't say what the figure is, but it is good, really good. Any other questions? There's one over there, I think.
Oh. In terms of people who are going to go into the art side,
yes.
The way into it, is it best, say, to go to art college beforehand, or to go to do a course which is actually specific games design type course?
I'd say a lot of colleges and universities currently try and cash in on the idea of games and games design because they see it as a, someone reads it as, oh, games, I'm going to go do that, and it might not exactly tailor to what that person wants to do. It might just teach them some art knowledge, but then when you take that to the industry, they'll be like, well, this is totally irrelevant to us. So what the best thing I'd say to do is, you definitely do need to go and do art. If you want to be an artist, and I'm not sure, do you know which route it kind of was in general?
More on the drawing side.
On the drawing side, so character design or level design, things like that, drawing them. Yeah. So, I mean, if you go to a games-focused place, they probably will allow you to do more artwork based on those kind of things, and they will push you down that path. If you go to a general kind of art college, and you say, oh, I want to do some level design stuff for later in life, or for going to university, I don't know, they might not allow you to do that. See what I'm saying? So it probably is better to go to a game-focused course, but it's tricky because, like I say, a lot of people can cash in on these ideas. I know Huddersfield University, it seemed like it was a cash-in, and they were just doing it because games brought people in, and at the end of the day, it turned out to be a really good course. Now I know a lot of people who've gone out, done these courses, and they haven't got a job at the end of it. I mean, people on my course, my year, there was 70 people did the course, and 10 people got a job and still have got a job today. So that's 50 people without a job in the industry. It's very, very cutthroat out there. You have to impress the companies, and you have to have a solid portfolio or something you can show them or prove yourself to these companies, or because there's thousands of people out there doing it at home off their own back almost, with very solid portfolios together. So I hope that answered your question. It's a bit vague, but.
How many people did you work with on GTA 5? What sort of size?
Okay, so Rockstar Games has 5 studios around the world. We've got Leeds, which is where I'm from, and then there's Rockstar North, which is in Edinburgh. We've got New York, we've got Vancouver, and we've got London. I think there's actually, no, there's 6 of San Diego as well. So all 6 studios actually worked on GTA 5. And that's, in our studio, we had 200 people. In North, we had about 500 people. So if we combined it all together, it's probably about maybe 3,000 people in total for 4 years. It took us 4 years to make Grand Theft Auto 5 with 3,000 people. It was a big, big job.
Would you recommend, if you're starting to go into games design or into the gaming industry, that you start getting a group of people together as soon as possible to create a team to develop a portfolio?
Definitely, that's a really good point. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Whilst at university, I really grabbed that. And university might not teach you the skills you need, but it definitely opens the doors. If I didn't go to Huddersfield University, I wouldn't have been working for Rockstar. But what it did is it opened the doors, it introduced me to artists and programmers and other people. And I grouped them together, and we did form small teams. So I made a game for Xbox Indie Channel, which was called Drizzle. It was like an environmental game that we entered that to a Microsoft competition, and it actually won Best UK Game. But that was all off my own back, outside of university time. That it was a small team. It was me, 2 artists, and 2 programmers, and it took us about 6 months to make the game. And that was part of my then I could put that in my portfolio. That was proof that I'd designed a game from start to finish with a group of people, so it showed I could work in a team environment, and I could show that to Rockstar, and that's what it's about. It's definitely about working with teams and getting together with people as soon as possible. And even if it's a small app you make and release it on the iPhone and 10 people download it, it doesn't matter because you've done it. You've proved that you can finish a project. The last 10% of every project is the hardest, and that's the polishing phase when you just have to work really, really hard. And if you can do that, and you can have a back catalogue of 5 apps, say, it doesn't matter how many people have downloaded it. It doesn't matter. If you can finish it, that's like gold dust to a developer, is if you can finish a product. So any more questions? Anyone want to know anything in particular? Oh.
Hi.
Hiya.
Can I just ask what the most exciting bit of technology that's out there right now is for a gaming designer like you?
Yeah.
So if it's virtual reality or if it's connecting to people on the other side of the world, or what's sort of really hot right now?
So I touched on it before, and it's the Oculus Rift and the Sony VR headset, which is... So the Oculus Rift was a Kickstarter campaign. If you haven't heard of Kickstarter, it's a place where you can go on, you can put an idea up, and you can say to everyone in the world, I've got this idea, I need £20,000 to make it. If you back me, I might give you a prototype of the game, or you'll get some artwork, or you'll get something like that. It's a crowdsourced, crowdfunding way to fund a project, which it's really good at the moment because a lot of publishers won't. If you go to a publisher like, say, Activision, and you say, Activision, I've got this game idea, I want to publish it, they might just turn around and say, well, no, it's a bit niche. Does it have guns? Do you kill people? No, we're not going to make that then. We want something like that. So they'll turn you down. But you can go to Kickstarter, put it up, and then people will say, we like that idea, and it'll get funded. So Oculus Rift is one of those. What Oculus Rift is, it's a headset you put on it. It's got a screen in it. And at the moment it's working, I think it's primarily with PC games, but it allows like an extra level of immersion, because as you move your head, the game world moves around with it, so it makes you feel like you're actually there. A lot of people, when I've been around them and they've been using it, they see something on the screen and then they lift the hand up to try and grab it, but obviously that doesn't work because it doesn't do anything. But it's that kind of immersion that we haven't got with games at the moment that I feel that's the next step. It's going to be, you probably won't have televisions. Games won't be played on televisions anymore. It will be, you'll turn on a console and it will just stream it directly to your headset, and everyone will be sat on the sofa with headsets on instead. Instead of looking at each other, instead of talking, they'll just have headsets, and that's where it's going. And one day there won't be consoles either. Everything's getting smaller. A lot of people probably got one of these, an iPhone, and that has become essential. That is phones, emails, games, everything. Now, these are becoming so powerful that I could put that in front of my TV and just play games. So you will get to the point where you have a small device like an iPhone, and that is a console as well. So you'll take it with you, you'll just put it in front of the TV will recognize it, and off you go, and you're playing games. You'll put your headset on as well, which Google Glasses, that's another headset that's a lot more sleek and very small, so you put on your Google Glasses, and off you go. Everything's getting more compact and smaller, and that's what's exciting. Like I say, the games industry is so young that these things come along, like Oculus Rift and the headsets and VR, and we're like, oh, this is so amazing, but we don't know what to do with it yet because it's so fresh. So, but then something else could come along in another year's time that we just don't know about, and it could change all that again. So you've got to be constantly on your toes. The games industry is very fast moving, and you've got to be on your toes, and you've got to be able to change direction very quickly with what's out there. I know loads of people who've made apps and think this is the best idea ever, and then someone else will release one that's the exact same idea, because the barriers to entry with the iPhone are so low. Before the iPhone, you have to go through Microsoft, you have to go through Sony, you have to go through one of these big top companies. And for someone like you or me talking to an exec at Sony or Microsoft, this isn't going to happen. So getting our game idea out there wasn't going to happen either. But now with iPhone, you don't need to talk to anyone. You can buy an iPhone and get a Mac, and you can start making your own apps and games for free. Well, it's not free, sorry, there is a charge, but right now you can do that, and it's very low entry to the market. And I bet a lot of you have played Minecraft. Can I get a show of hands who's played Minecraft or knows what Minecraft is? Okay. So that was one guy on his own in his spare time making Minecraft. So he had a normal 9-to-5 job. He'd go home and he'd do a bit on Minecraft, and he'd go off again and he'd come back and do it. Now, if you look at how much Minecraft has made for him, so far, 60 million. 60 million pounds on his own. And he's set for life now. He's set up a game studio. He's got loads of people in and he's just churning out games. So, you know, these success stories can happen for individuals. It's not, you know, you just have to, it's not like the right place, right time kind of thing. Like, I suppose it kind of is, because you have to get on the top 20 list, don't you? But if someone at Apple sees your app and they think it's, you know, really good, it could be spotlighted, and then that's all you need. And then, you know, you could be the next millionaire making Minecraft, I suppose. Is there any other questions? Hope that wasn't me. No? No, we all done? All right, I think that's...
If anybody would like to talk to Ben now, feel free to
Yeah,
come to
afterwards,
the front
definitely,
for
yeah.
questions, experience. And our next talk is business as usual. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks. Thank you.